Welcome to How to Cook That. I'm Ann Reardon, and this week I've been in a creative mood. So I decided to tackle a 3D chocolate artwork and redecorate our bedroom. Well, really decorate it because I haven't done anything to it since we moved in 3 years ago, and I really don't like this ugly suede wall in the background there. Anyway, starting with the chocolate art. When we were in Paris, we stumbled upon an art shop that I really enjoyed going into. It's one of those good memories from the trip. And they had lots of good pieces, but one of the ones that stuck out to me was this mind-boggling optical illusion one by Patrick Hughes. It's in reverse perspective, so it tricks your mind and looks like it moves. I loved it, but it was of course way out of our $0 budget for artwork, so I've decided to make it out of chocolate instead. It took ages to figure out the template that would actually make this effect work on paper. You can just print it out from the howtocookthat.net website, and any bits that say join here, just cut it and tape it together because it's way too long to fit on one sheet of paper. Whenever I go through the checkout buying way too many blocks of chocolate to be classed as a normal human being, I get unusual looks from strangers. The guy behind me at the checkout today asked, "Was I baking something?" I replied and told him I was making art out of chocolate, to which he gave me an even stranger look. Melt your chocolate in the microwave, let it cool down. I like to put mine in a sink of cold water to speed up the process, and when it gets to the right temperature, sprinkle on some freeze-dried cocoa butter and stir it through. You can temper chocolate using other methods, and I've got a whole video on that, but basically if you don't temper it, it's going to go soft at room temperature, which is not good for chocolate art. Spread it out on some acetate, making sure it's big enough for the template. Then you want to leave that to start to firm up. Once it's starting to set, put the template on top and cut around it. See how it's still soft enough to cut, but it's firm enough that the paper's not going to stick to it. If you wait till the chocolate is hard, it's just going to crack when you try and cut it. Then put some baking paper and something flat with some weight to it on top. This is important so that the chocolate doesn't curve while it's setting. Once it's ready, you can take off those edges, just take all of them off, put them in a bowl and remelt them and retemper them for the next part. I'm not sure if this is going to fit together properly, to be honest, because the chocolate is obviously thicker than paper, and that's going to affect all of my joins, and my brain is already hurting from figuring out the template in the first place, and I don't have AutoCAD or any of those programs that can add the thickness of the chocolate to it for me. Next, these bits are a tiny bit darker, so I'm just going to add in a little bit at a time of black oil-based food colouring, and it needs to be oil-based or it will seize your chocolate. It'll make it go lumpy and dry looking. Temper that again and pour it out and follow the same procedure that we did for the other sides. The top section has some blue that kind of fades down to white, which is going to be tricky. I've mixed some blue oil-based food colouring with melted cocoa butter, and I'm just spreading that onto the acetate. In hindsight, I think just dusting the set chocolate with powdered blue food colouring would have been much, much easier. So if you're crazy enough to make this, make sure you do that. Pour the tempered chocolate over the top and spread it out, and once that is firm, you can just cut around the template. Now to add to the illusion, each of these side pieces has a skirting board on it that gets smaller like that's in the distance. So I'm going to use the rest of the chocolate that we just mixed for the other bit on the first pieces to make the skirting colour. Let it set up a little bit, then draw a straight line along the edge of the acetate and lift that off. Now for the base section. That is more of a deeper brown, so I've mixed in some milk chocolate and some white chocolate together, and while that's setting, I need to cut out all of my pictures for the walls. Now I've got these printed using edible ink onto icing sheets. I just went down to my local cake decorating store and they'll print them for you there. There are places online that you can order them from too, so you can just look that up if you want to print them. You can decide which artworks you want on which wall. You be the art gallery curator here, and just peel the plastic off the back of your icing sheet. Add a little bit of water to the back. Be careful not to get any of that water onto the front or it's going to ruin your picture. then press it firmly onto your chocolate to hold it into place. And you want to repeat that on all of the other walls. Now you can see here the bottom piece has already cracked along the base when I've tried to move it. So I'm going to reinforce the back of it with lots of chocolate. This is turning out to be much more tricky and frustrating than I had imagined it would be. So I advise all of you don't make this at home. Well, not out of chocolate anyway. Do make it out of cardboard because it's really cool to look at in real life. Now for the assembly bit. This is the bit I'm actually dreading. I'm going to use some chocolate for support. Getting these angles just right is really time consuming and really difficult without the chocolate falling. I think I actually need another person just to be here and stand and hold chocolate for me. My other problem is that because these are not paper thin, like I said before, they don't go all the way down into these corners, so they don't quite fit. I'm just going to have to glue it all together with chocolate and then shave it down to make it fit. This is now highlighting another problem that I hadn't thought about. I can shave it down to make it fit, but then it has a line of the wrong colour along all the joins. And shaving it down is getting rid of some of the skirting. This is a crazy one. I hope the illusion will still work even though it's completely imperfect made out of chocolate. The next complication is because I had to shave it down, that's made the rectangle gap on the top wider. So now I need to retemper chocolate and make the tops again because they're too small to fit. While I'm waiting for those tops to set, I'm going to temper some dark chocolate and add a bit of black food colouring to it and spread it around the edges. This is going to give it a frame and it also helps hold all the sloped bits in place as well. Now I've redone the tops, redone the skirting and added the pictures and made them slightly bigger so this time they will fit. And once the dark chocolate at the bottom is set, I'll shave these back to fit. And now, ta-da, the big question, does the illusion work when it's in chocolate or are there too many imperfections? Let me know if your eyes can see the illusion of the room going backwards and almost moving or not. My next creative challenge, I want to decorate our bedroom. As I said, we've been here for 3 years and apart from moving our stuff in, I've done nothing to the room. Skillshare offered to sponsor this video, so I looked up if they had courses on interior design, and they do. They actually have thousands of online courses on nearly every topic you can think of, from marketing through to animation through to interior design. And I already know that I dislike this suede effects wall colour. And it's a big room compared to our old house in Sydney, so it looks a bit empty. I do like the bedside tables and the bed, so they will both stay. I don't love the step up, but the carpet doesn't need changing, so the step up is going to have to stay. Apart from that, I wasn't 100% sure what to actually do with the room. So I watched an interior design basics course by Lauren Cox, and this one was a good starting point. It gave me general advice and decorating rules, but by the end of it I still didn't know what to do with the room. So then I binge watched Emily Henderson's course, and oh my goodness, it was like she was reading my mind. She said that some people have trouble making interior design decisions and actually pulling the trigger and buying what they need for the space. That's me. She also had a quiz in lesson 3 that helps identify the interior design style that you like. Turns out that I like 4 different styles equally, which I thought would be a problem, but she then covered that too.
Because I know it can feel like panicking. It's just like, okay, now I have like 3 styles I need to start shopping for. Like that seems overwhelming. But there are ways to, there is a science behind mixing styles to make sure it looks cohesive and good.
After completing the 2 courses, I had a lot more confidence in what sort of direction I wanted to go in, but I still wasn't ready to pull the trigger. So what I did instead was take a photo of the room and experiment with wall colours and then cut and paste a bunch of pictures from different stores to see what would work and what wouldn't work. I don't love the colour of this side table, but it was a lot cheaper than other options, so I'll just whitewash it if it doesn't work when it comes. I looked at lamps, but then decided to use the ones we have on the bedside tables instead. And now for the art. I could put chocolate art up on this wall here, But I live in Australia, so we'd wake up on a hot night to chocolate dripping down the wall. So I'm going for a Melbourne skyline artwork instead. I think that all goes pretty well together in Photoshop world, so now to actually do this in real life. One thing I've realised doing this course is that everybody has completely different taste when it comes to interior design. So some of you will probably love this and others might hate it. But that's okay as long as Dave and I like the space because we're the ones who live here. Let me know in the poll on this video what interior design style you like. If you don't know, you'll have to take the quiz in Emily's course like I did. Skillshare Premium is around $10 a month, but if you're watching this video, you can click on the link in the description below and get 2 months unlimited access to their courses for free. We had a Sparky add some lights, and now I need to vacuum up all the plaster from the holes being drilled, make the bed with the matching sheets, add the quilt. Now for some reason most beds seem to have another blanket or cover across the end of the bed, and I'm not loving the look of this, so I'm going to change that up a bit. Take off the quilt, add that one underneath. And then of course there is a throw, which is supposed to look like it's been carelessly tossed on the bed, but in reality it's probably been very carefully placed. What exactly is the purpose of the throw apart from the look, I'm not sure. Now to style the side table. Mainly I'm going for blacks and whites, and I'm done. What do you think? Here is the before and the after. Before once again, and after. One of my favourite additions to this room is the lights. That was actually my sister's suggestion, so shout out to her. Thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. You can go and learn a new skill like I did by clicking on the link below and taking advantage of that free trial. With thanks to my wonderful patrons for supporting me every month. You guys are legends. If you want to join them, you can click on that link there to go to Patreon. Subscribe to How to Cook That and click on the bell to turn on notifications, and then click on the bell again to select all notifications. Click on the other links to see more chocolate art and other videos that I've made for you. Make it a great week, and I'll see you on Friday.